All right, that is setting in there. That went in real easy. We thought we were gonna have to take these side frames off in order to get it to fit in there, but they're just loose enough. They were backed off their way, so he's gonna start bolting her together and plugging her in. Well, Jered is quite a bit done here. I'll be ready to start this in a little while, so he tells me. Just gotta get some fluids in it. We had a door that kind of broke itself on this 320, so we had to get a new piece of glass for it. And we got the noon tanker in here. Everybody said that when we bring in a piece of equipment, we should wash it first. What's your thoughts on that, Nate? Washing a piece of equipment before we work on it. You're gonna have less time into working on it than you took washing it, right? How long did it take you to wash it? A while, yeah. I mean, look how clean he is after getting done washing it. It took him like 4 hours to wash this tanker, and a lot of the reason why they did wash it is everything was a lot of manure on the back here. What they're putting on here is a new distribution box or manifold, what have you. Got the 6 port thingies on there. They had holes in them, so we're replacing that, trying to get the old hose barb pieces out of there. Put it right down on there.
Oh, I'm burning it.
Put it right down on there.
Are you crazy? Now you got fire.
Put some heat on her. All right, there you go. Pull it off in there.
I just don't like burning rubber, man.
Turn it a little bit.
There you go. You get it back and forth, up and down, all around. You know, you gotta work it well. Yeah.
Sometimes, after you get done with something, it goes a lot easier after you fix the first 3 inches that the last guy screwed up. Then it goes a lot easier. All right, the boys have the manifold all put on the spreader, so that is ready to go tomorrow. Jered's got this tractor all together. We got oil in it, we got fuel in the fuel filters. However, we have a problem with the starter. The starter, where is that wire, Jered? Right here. This wire goes down on, this wire here goes down on the bottom of the starter, and that's what activates the appendix to engage the actual starter itself. So that is broke off. I'm gonna try to hold that down on the bottom here to activate that. The other thing we could do is take this plunger off and push on it with a stick. So we're not sure if we're gonna be able to get it going tonight. We're gonna need to get a new starter either way, but we're gonna try it anyways. You got the battery charger on here to give it a little extra boost, and we're gonna go ahead and try it. Alright, we can't get this thing to start. We need to get a new starter for it. We've got a fuel issue of some kind. We had a electrical problem with that injection pump, so we got to look into that. We don't know if we've got a bad wire somewhere or something that does make some noise every once in a while. So we're gonna have to look into that, and we'll come back at you when we get back working on it again. All right, it is the following day here, and we've got the old starter off of the 8320, and I've got a new one here. And what had happened was this little, I guess you'd call it the ignition wire part of the starter, and that's what activates the appendix. It just pulls the contactor from where the battery cable is here. It pulls the contactor down and engages the actual starter. I think this is actually considered a gear reduction starter. So what I was doing here last night is I was just touching the ignition wire to this part of the coil, I guess you would call it, and that's what would activate the it pushes the contactor down to engage the starter. Now on the 9560, when we burned up the starter on that, I took this off of there and we weren't getting any function out of it, and I just used a stick and pushed it in, and I was able to engage the starter that way on that one, and we ended up burning it up because of the other problems that we had with it. So there's a core on this starter. We're gonna get this on here, and we're gonna go into trying to start this. It is it needs the fuel bled, and we need a couple of extra hands. We're gonna push air through the fuel system, and hopefully we can get it going. So, well, Jered just brought this home from hauling manure. This was on the frac tank, and we had some tires that were wore out. So Kyle's here from McLaughlin Tire. You local guys will know who this guy is. This guy is the tire guy around here. He don't monkey around. This tire on the other side here was wore out pretty good. So instead of just replacing one, I decided to replace both of them. These are a Firestone Evo. Haven't seen this tire before. It's kind of an economy model tire. Got a pretty deep tread to it. Supposed to compete with the BKTs and the whatevers. I forget what we have for tires on the back here. So these are Mitas that's on the back. We ran them for quite a few years. I don't even know if they make them anymore, Kyle?
So not that model.
Not that model tire?
The Mitas bought off Continental.
Oh, okay.
So the ones that you used to have.
Yeah, we used to run the Continental. We were always running the cheap tire. We started with Continental and Mitas, and we moved over to BKT, and BKT seems to be hanging around there. That's a Mitas there. I thought we had a couple of BKTs on here, but I could be wrong. I guess they're all Mitas, all four of them across the back of this. So we were running tubes in these, and that's what he has done. He's took the tube out of this one. He actually had to fix that tire over the winter, and he put a new tube in it, and we just transferred the tube over. Usually we don't run them for a second set of tires, but these tubes weren't in there that long, so this is where the magic happens. One arm. See how easy that went on there? Anybody could do tires, right, Kyle? Simple. Well, we're gonna let him air this up and we're gonna start pumping some liquid fertilizer here. They do look real aggressive, man. Alright, you seen that last clip of Kyle putting the tires on here, and we're back into the shop today and we're working on this 8320 again. Jered's got the starter on there and we are going to go into trying to get this going. He has double checked himself as far as timing goes here, so he's making sure it is in time. We have talked to Jake and he said these engines are a mongrel and that it takes quite a bit to get them primed. So we've got the disc ripper hooked up to the 8120 and it needed a couple of tires. So we have two put on this side. The one on that far side over there, that was already on there. The two that came off of this side here, they were bald. And this other one here has got quite a bit of tread on it. However, it is really dry rotted. I've got it half dismounted. I thought I would show you the dry rot cracks that are in it. It would probably never blow, but generally these do, and when they do, it's at night when you're trying to move on the road. So we'll show you what the boys are up to next door here. We really haven't showed you too much of this, but Jason ended up putting a turbo in truck 10 here, and it was a mongrel of a job. Just about every stud broke on it. A couple of them they couldn't get out. They ended up burning them out with a torch, and he's just gotten things buttoned up here now. The exhaust manifold was leaking on the back side and the turbo was shot. So they're working on this. We're getting it ready for silage. He's actually pulling the oil pan off now. It's got part of a gasket that's sticking out. We had some driveline work that we had to do to this, and Lukens is just tightening everything back up now and throwing a little bit of grease into it. We ended up breaking a yoke on this back portion. No, it wasn't on the back portion. I thought it was in between the two drive axles, but they ended up
off the tranny.
Breaking a U-joint here, and then the yoke on the tranny.
Yeah.
Well, no, it was a yoke on this slider part of the axle, actually, or on the drive shaft, and I think maybe we had a hanger bearing out there too, but they installed a new hanger on there because they ended up replacing the yoke on both ends. And we also had a yoke that we had to replace on the transmission. Oh, this muffler needs replacing here too. The whole end of it's gone. So if you look up there, there's a yoke on the transmission that they replaced. Jered did a transmission in it. When did he do that? Before silage?
No, just when we were getting all the corn, I blew the through out there.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we had to put a transmission in this right after and during high moisture corn. So we're going to work on getting this 8320 going and about ready to drop that oil pan, are you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alternator.
Alternator's crooked?
Yep.
Yeah.
So it needs something at the bottom.
Yeah, it might be the alternator, or that stud might be wore out again. So that's a common problem. So could be the alternator bushings are shot. So yeah. All right. It's kind of fun putting that stuff in there, isn't it?
Not too bad anyways.
Jay.
I just figured let it sit in here.
Yeah, Jay gets all the fun jobs.
I know. Hey, I'm not complaining.
All right, so Jered has found that there is some kind of an electrical connection problem here, and it made like a buzzing sound when the injection pump was plugged in. So we've got rid of that problem. We've got a hold of Jake too, and he says it's got to be that. So what we're doing now is we're going to see how much fuel the filters have in them, push some air into the fuel tank to kind of push the fuel to the filters, hand prime it, and then try to get this thing going here. So how much fuel is in there?
Like nothing.
There's like no fuel in there. So we're gaining on it. We just got to keep playing the game of priming the system here. Alright, so it got close that time. Then if you heard that crackling noise, that's the noise we were having, that we were hearing earlier here. And you would even turn the key off and you would hear it then as well. He pulled the rubber boot, the rubber thing out of that plug there, and the noise went away. So we're going to pull the filters again and see what they look like. Actually, let's try it. Try it one more time. Well, no bueno. Alright, we're gonna, there's that noise again, right there. Key is off. Yeah, so there could be an issue throughout this wire harness here as well. We're not quite sure. So we'll drop the filters, see what they look like. Alright, hand primed the hell out of it, aired it, filled the filters. 11th. Go ahead. No bueno. All right, Jered has determined that the injection pump was out of time, so he ended up hello?
We're dying here. We're heading home.
Okay. Empty the fuel out of that truck.
Yeah, we did.
All right, we'll see ya. Bye. Alright, so Jered has determined that this injection pump was out of time. It wasn't that far out of time, but it only has to be out of time by a little bit. He pulled it off in there, timed it, got it put back on. He had this pulley off in here so that he could get in there and look at things, and he determined that it wasn't in time. So we have pulled the filters off. We have filled them back up with fuel. We have ran that hand primer. We must have stroked that like 50 times after it started to have pressure on it. We really don't want to burn up this new starter, so we're hoping this does the trick. So, well, go ahead and we'll try it one more time. Now there we are. That's all it took. Well, that went a lot easier. That went a lot easier that time. We've got to hook up the rest of the exhaust there where it goes down to the pipe that goes around and it hooks itself up to the muffler there. And we've also have a new hood to go on this. The other hood that was on this tractor was all cracked and beat up. We also need to have Jake come and charge the air conditioning system. So that's gonna do it for this segment of the video. We'll come back at you with the rest of this project here once we get it back together. He wants to get things finalized here. We're gonna run it without the hood on it for a while and just kind of work it to give it a good break in here. So that is gonna do it, folks. We'll catch you at the next video.